In a remote corner of our earth stands the little kingdom of Siam, one of the last of the world's absolute monarchies, where 10 million people live their lives in partial seclusion from the outside world. En route to Bangkok, the chief city of this ancient country, we pass a Chinese junk, which reminds us that most of the early settlers in Siam came from Mongolia, a province in China. After sailing up the Gulf of Siam, we arrive at a little peninsular port where a train is waiting to take us to Bangkok, about 35 miles inland. Before departing, we obtain our first bigamy as permitted, but when it occurs, the first wife is always acknowledged the head of the household. Incidentally, Siamese mothers never kiss their children, nor do husbands kiss their wives. Instead, they rub faces together. This little banquet is interrupted by the warning whistle from our train. And now we are en route to Bangkok. Except for a few railway lines, all travel in Siam is by water. The level of the land is so low and the soil is so soft. Experiences of the courageous engineers who conquered this tropical jungle with the first railway in Siam. The products of the soil consist of rice, sugarcane, coconuts, and all kinds of fruits, which are loaded in boats and paddled up to Bangkok along a whole network of rivers such as we see here. We arrive at Bangkok, the capital and chief city of Siam, covering more land area than any other city in the world except London. We are immediately educating and modernizing the rising generation of Siam. We are told that this king has 236 brothers and sisters. His father had. Siamese are an artistic people. Their architecture, dancing, and music are highly developed in strict accordance with the traditions of Indo-Chinese art. Siamese architecture is chiefly exercised in connection with religious buildings devoted to Buddhism. Buddhism, the Orient's most powerful religion, was brought to Siam from India as early as the 2nd century A.D. It is the national faith of Siam. Buddhism is not based upon divinity. When the people go into a temple and kneel before Buddha, they reverence him, but never do they forget that he was once a man, and that in time they may become even as he is. The women of Siam appear to be the most constant followers of this religion. They spend much of their time in and around the temples with their children, instilling them with the Buddhist faith. This is the temple of the Emerald Buddha, so called because of an emerald image of the great Buddha, which is lodged beneath one of its pointed domes. Our tour of the temples is interrupted by a visit to the famous Pasteur Institute, where venom is extracted from the most famous houses of worship in the country. Religion influences the life of the Siamese at every turn. He is always under the direct tutelage of the yellow-robed priest. In fact, every Siamese, including the king himself, must spend a period of his life in some one of the 10,000 monasteries of the land. In Bangkok alone, there are at least 500 temples dedicated to Buddhism. As we think of the strength of this faith called Buddhism, with its millions of followers, and compare it to our own, we cannot help but feel a certain embarrassment in presuming to think that our particular religion is the only one in the world of any importance. And it is with this thought that we